makes our life very easy, right? So yet we often take them for granted until problems arise. That's a bad thing, right? So until unless there is some fracture or until unless there is some problem with that, then only we will be aware of that. That's the truth, a bad truth about it, right? So today we embark on a journey to explore the intricacies of bone health, understand its significance, and learn how we can nurture and safeguard our skeletal system throughout our life, right? So, as I said, bone health, we should have an we should have a strong foundation for a building. Similarly, building strong foundations for a healthy life depends on our bone health. So, strong bones are the basic foundations of our healthy life. In this presentation, once again, we will explore the structure, function, what are the composition of bone, how we have to maintain our bone health, bone strength, as well as practical tips to prevent the osteoporosis and maintain bone health throughout our life. Right? This is how I'm going to do a presentation. So, coming to the bone structure, I know most of you are non-medical, so I would like just to brush. I don't go into depth of the bone. Let me just uh, tell you the simple basic things. So there's a structure called as periosteum, which is the one which covers the bone. This is called as periosteum, right? So this is the structure of the bone, compact bone. You call it as the cortical bone. Then you have a spongy bone, which you call as cancellous bone, right? So this is how the thing, the bone inside the one we have what called as red bone marrow. This is where the blood gets the RBCs, especially red blood cells. No, red blood cells. This is where they get synthesized. So this is fatty thing which is called as yellow bone marrow. Just I'm giving such a brief things. So let us know about the bone functions, right? So what are the functions of bones? So if you know the function, then you will realize its importance. As I told you, first and foremost is support. Bones provide a framework for our body and support our weight. So you can imagine the whole weight of the body, right, is taken by our hip joint, knee joint, and the ankle joint, right? So those are the joints which take our body weight, and of course, they form a framework. Of that framework, only your muscles, then your soft tissue, then your fat, skin, everything is built up, right? So that's a basic model on which the things get built up, right? So then the protection. So bones protect our internal organs such as brain and heart. As you know, the brain is a vital organ. As we know, see, God has given a beautiful helmet for us, inbuilt helmet. Imagine without the skull bone. Can you imagine? You cannot imagine. You have beautiful orbits to where your eyes are kept very, very safely, and you have brain. And similarly, inside the vertebral column, God has created the spinal cord. So there is a foolproof protection, like thing, right? So vital organs, especially the heart, the brain, the spinal cord, everything is safeguarded under the cage of our bones, right? So third thing is it helps a lot in our mobility. So bones work with muscles and joints to allow us to move and maintain balance, right? So how can you climb a stair if there is no knee joint? Tomorrow or today evening only you try, you tie something to your knee joint so that you will not able to bend the knee joint. Try climbing the stairs. Or simple thing, try to go for washroom without bending your knee joints. I'm talking about, I think all of you are aware what I'm talking about, right? So you cannot. So the joints are the one which provide maximum movements, and we exist, we move around, we eat, we do all the activities which are doing because of our joints, right? So I am sure if I ask what is the main composition of the bone, is and can anyone answer what is the bone composition? Hello? What is the main composition of the bone? Anyone? Yeah, that's correct. That's question. So the main thing which comes whenever we talk about bone, there's a calcium which comes to our mind, right? So main thing is the calcium. So that's the mineral that makes bones strong and hard. So that's the reason we ask the elderly people, especially, to take the calcium supplementation, as well as the children of growing age, right? Especially adolescents or the growing children, where the growth is occurring, right? So those are the people who need to have extra calcium in their supplementation, right? Sorry, excuse me. So we have phosphorus also, the mineral that works with calcium to build bones, the calcium phosphate, right? So we have collagen, the protein that provides flexibility and durability to bones. And we have other minerals like we have magnesium, we have fluoride. These things also do contribute to the bone. So coming to the bone remodeling, right? So bone, as we know, it's not a what we generally people think that bone is a fixed structure. Like it's not a fixed structure. There is what is called as bone remodeling, right? There is resorption of bone, and there is reversal of what is called as resorption. Then comes the formation, right? In the resorption, the old bone is broken down by cells called osteoclasts. That's what I told you. Bone is not a static thing; it's a dynamic. That means to say, each and every day the old bone is taken away by cells which are called as osteoclasts, and similarly, new bone is getting formed by the cells which are called as osteoblasts. So basically, bone is a dynamic structure, right? It's not a static structure. New bone gets formed every day, and old bone also gets absorbed every day. So this is very, very important, crucial. That's because as the age advances, in the younger age group, we know that. Uh, so we know that in younger age group, there is good amount of bone formation and bone remodeling. But as the age advances, the bone strength keeps on decreasing. That's what's called as osteopenia. Then we call as osteoporosis. That's what happens as the age advances because there is an imbalance between the bone formation and the bone resorption. So as the age advances, the bone resorption becomes more, whereas bone formation becomes less. So there is an imbalance. That's the reason elderly people will go for osteoporosis. So this is the most burning thing in the society now, osteoporosis, right? So this is the most commonly used terminology now whenever it comes to bones, right? So what is the definition of osteoporosis? It's a condition in which bones become weak and brittle, increasing the risk of fractures, right? Suppose if I think most of you have played in your school times or college times. Must have played cricket or you must have played high jump, long jump, running, all those games, right? Is there anyone who has not played or who has not played any games in their childhood? Definitely would have sustained some injuries, some falls, or while riding bicycles, right? So it's very common. So we do fall, we do sustain some injuries, right? So but luckily, at younger age, since bones are very strong and they're very elastic, the chance of fracture is quite less. But what happens once the age occurs? As the age occurs, bones gets brittle and brittle. That means they become more and more weak, and hence the chances of fracture is very high. You must have heard in your neighbors or in your family also, right? So definitely I'm sure any one of your families, I'm sure would have had a your grandma, uh, parents, papa, whoever it is, a sustained one of the other fractures, especially on the joint. So most common fracture is called as Colles fracture that occurs because of fall on the outside hand. As you know, as the age advances, the bones are very weak. So just simple fall, which otherwise wouldn't have caused any fracture, will cause fracture. That's because the bones are very weak, very brittle, right? That's like a chalk piece that will tuck away, it will break away, right? That's what happens, right? In a old elderly people. And just simple fall. They do not have to sustain any major fall or they do not have to have any injuries or they don't have any uh, major accidents to sustain fracture. Simple fall in the bathroom. See, all of us have to go for a washroom minimum 2 to 3 times a day. And of course, bathrooms will be wet only. And if you slip and fall, especially elderly people, when they fall on their hip joint, no, there's more common of causes. There's a high chance of sustaining what's called as fracture neck of femur or intertrochanter fracture, the fractures around the proximal femur. That means the bones are very weak, and there is all the chances that the patient who falls at the elderly age, they do sustain fractures, right? So, what is the prevalence of osteoporosis? Osteoporosis affects millions of people worldwide, especially women after menopause and older adults. So that's the thing, especially in the female, no, after the menopause, as when their menstruation, the monthly cycle stops. That is the time when the osteoporosis sets in, right? So we have goddess greater beautiful hormone called as estrogen, which has a cardioprotective, heart protective, as well as bone protective function. So once that estrogen level comes down, especially in the females after their menopause, that's the time slowly the bones starts weakening and weakening, right? So that's where the osteoporosis starts. So you can watch this beautiful graph there. It's very informative. So if you see this graph, right? So as the age advances, the bone strength keeps on increasing, right? So at the age of 30, the bone strength is maximum. So person will reach its maximum strength at the age of 30. So that's the one of the scientific reasons why people are asked to get married within their 30 years of age. So my sincere advice to people who are Aries without of please get married before 30 only. For males, it's quite okay, but especially for females, the childbearing age, no, that's very important. Please do get married within 30. That's my sincere request as well as advice, right? So that is the peak time, right? That's the 30 is the age where you have peak strength of bone, whatever it is, right? So after 30, there is slow loss of bone. See this curve, right? Up to 40, there is slow loss of bone, right? But once you reach your 50s, there is rapid loss. See this red zone, right? So that's where once you reach 50, see most of the women in India around 45 to 50 years, they attain their menopause. So that is the period where there is rapid loss of bone. See, you can see that's why it's marked red, and that's where there's steep fall in the bone strength. That's where the rapid loss of bone strength occurs, right? After the age of 50, there is slow loss, less rapid loss. As the age advances, it keeps on going down like that, right? So it's very informative. I think all of you are appreciating it. Is it very clear? Anyone, please? Any question on this? Is it clear? Okay, this is what happens, right? So this is what happens at the elderly people. That's the reason, at the peak age, your height is good. As the age advances, even the height of the person keeps decreasing, especially because of this vertebra will have what is called as multiple pathological compression fractures. That's the reason why the height of the person also decreases. In my own city, I have an orthopedic surgeon who is around 80 plus now. His height has reduced by 2 inches, just following this kind of what they develop one hump called as senile kyphosis, right? So this is what happens as one. This purely because of the osteoporosis, right? So there is one more common myth. The people they think that osteoporosis occurs only in women. Is there anyone who thinks osteoporosis is seen only in women? Anyone can answer. Anyone can unmute and answer. Jayprakash ji, do you think? Yeah.
Majority it is in women.
Okay. Got it. What about women? What about men? I mean. More options.
Depends upon their food habits and all that.
Okay. Got it. Okay. See, there's a common myth regarding osteoporosis. Most of the people think no, as I explained earlier. Yeah. So as I explained earlier, most of the people think that osteoporosis occurs only in females because there is a menopause. So there's nothing like menopause in men, right? So that's a wrong conception in the society. But let me tell you, similar to what occurs in females, no, there is one more condition in males so that we call as andropause, right? Like menopause, there's a similar hormonal variation that occurs in men also. That's called andropause. So there is definitely decrease of bone mass with as the age advances, even in men also. If you this see this curve, right? This is a blue curve here. This represents males here. So definitely there's a peak level at that point. Definitely the bone strength in men also keeps declining. But it occurs slowly. But whereas in females, see this curve, right? So once around 45, 50, the menopause occurs, there's steep fall. This you can see this dotted line, right? Hope all of you are appreciating it, right? So there's a steep fall after the age of 50s, especially in females. That's because of stopping of the menstruation, right? So the clear message is very clear. It occurs in male also. That means to say, even males after the age of 50 years need treatment for osteoporosis, right? So what are the risk factors? Yeah, what are the risk factors? Definitely, age is a very well-known risk factor, as all of you know. Yeah, there is one question from Sonia Rajanji. Any particular diet or exercise to strengthen the bones in male as well as female? Yeah, definitely it's there. In future, my flights definitely I'm going to tell you the what are the other things, food etc. So, what are the risk factors? Age, as I told you, bone density as the age advances, the bone density keeps on decreasing. So, age is a risk factor. Then, gender, as I told you earlier, women are more likely to develop osteoporosis than men, right? So, what about the genetics? Even family history of genetics play a role in bone health. Okay, if your parents had severe osteoporosis, there are chances that you will develop osteoporosis more frequently when compared to others, right? Even lifestyle. So lifestyle matters a lot, especially these days. People who are having a poor diet, well, lack of exercise, definitely who are smoking, and who consume excessive of alcohol, and all those things can increase the risk of osteoporosis. See, your lifestyle matters a lot when it comes to osteoporosis, right? Having habits like smoking and excessive alcoholism, lack of exercise, not taking proper calcium food, definitely it will also add to the risk of developing osteoporosis. So, what are the prevention strategies, right? So, Rajanji has asked about the question of what are the nutrition food to be taken to prevent the osteoporosis. So, this is the answer. Prevention strategies. What are the strategies you would like to follow to prevent the osteoporosis, right? One is the nutrition. So, coming to the nutrition, you should consume a diet which is rich in calcium and vitamin D. As in my earlier slides, I showed you calcium is the one of the key element of bone strength, right? So your calcium has to be adequately taken in your diet, and of course the vitamin D, which also plays important role in the calcium metabolism, right? So they eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, right? Even some fruits like there are so many fruits which are once again rich in calcium. We call it sitapal is there, which is once again rich in calcium, and other fruits and vegetables which are like. Uh, can anyone tell me which is the richest source of calcium? Any one of you can unmute and answer that question. Which is the richest source of calcium? Which food contains?
Calcium carbonate.
Okay, that's not food. That's okay, fine. I got you. Any food you would like to answer? Any food item? Any eatable item?
Seafood. Seafood, fish.
Okay, Vijay Kumar sir. Thank you so much. Vijay Kumar sir is Colonel sir who is retired from army. Thank you so much, Vijay Kumar sir, for joining this. Yeah, I got your question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Any other thing? Which is any idea which is the staple food of Karnataka, South India, especially Karnataka? It's a staple food people eat each and every day in Karnataka, especially.
Is it urad dal?
Okay.
I'm asking, I don't know.
No, it's not that. It's not that.
Okay.
I will give one more clue. Who is the only one prime minister who happened to come from Karnataka? Anybody knows the name
Ragi,
of
ragi, ragi, ragi,
the?
ragi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You absolutely right. So actually, Devada sir he was the prime minister who happened to be there from South India. He is also called as Muthavada, like especially the Gauda community who are agriculture based, they eat the ragi regularly, right? So ragi is the richest source of calcium. So I'll be very happy each and of you can consume ragi in your food at least one times in a day. It need not be ragi mudda. Mudda means the one they make in a ball shape and they take along with the sambar or whatever it is. And I think most of North Indian people may not be aware of that. It need not be ragi mudda only. It can be any form of ragi. It can be dosa, or it can be ragi powder mixed with milk, or any item. Or if you go to bakery, you will get ragi biscuits also, right? So anything which is made of ragi, please make it as your one of the staple food, especially in your diet. At least one time in a day, you should consume some or the other form of ragi so that will give you richest calcium, right? So of course, the nutrition should avoid excessive sodium and caffeine, right? Excessive consumption of coffee can also lead to depletion of calcium from the body, right? It can also weaken your bones. Then exercise, of course, regular weight bearing and muscle strengthening exercise play a very key role, and flexibility and balance training things, and avoid being sedentary for long periods. So if you sit for a very long time or if you are bedridden, see people who are bedridden, they have all the chances of uh, bones getting weakened, right? So if you are very active, if you are dynamic, your muscles are moving, your bones or joints are moving, that's the time when the excess of blood gets flowed. And once the blood is flown and there is metabolism taking place, the calcium gets deposited and there is strengthening of the bone. So exercise play a key role, right? So what are the lifestyle changes that you would like to follow? One is avoid smoking and excessive alcohol consumption, as I told earlier. Maintain a healthy weight. Weight also matters a lot. And get regular bone density exams. There are so many tests to check the strength of the bone. One is what is called a BMD, bone mineral density. We check. There are variety of tests that are available. If you can go through it, definitely that will show you what is the strength of your bone, right? So what are the food which are very much rich in calcium and vitamin D? So these are the calcium. I am sure most of you are very much aware of it. Milk and milk products, the cheese, right? So the green leaf vegetables like broccoli, then fish, as our Vijay Kumar sir told, fish is once again the richest source of calcium. Then you have uh, protein rich food, peanuts, and all those things. See, when breast milk is the richest source of calcium, that's why we always recommend breast milk feeding to the newborns, right? So vitamin D, once again, fish we have vitamin D and all those things which are depicted egg, all those things do contain vitamin D, right? So as I explained, milk and milk products, cheese, leafy greens, soya beans, all those almonds, vitamin D. So once again, exposed to sun, it's very crucial that see most of our city culture, especially in the villages, yes, farmers do go to field and they get a lot of exposed to sun. What about the people who are in the city, right? We hardly get exposed to sun. If we are going to sun also, especially females, pardon me, we put a lot of sunscreen and go, or we'll use umbrellas, right? So we'll be fully covered, right? We will wear full arm clothes, and each and every part of our body is covered except for face. Also, we use sunglasses. Even we don't want to expose our eyes. So there's least exposure to sun, right? So sun exposure makes very crucial in synthesis of vitamin D, right? Then we have fish, egg yolks, and fortified food meals like milk. Then orange juice once again contains a good amount of calcium when it comes to fruit juices, right? Vitamin D. So what are the recommended intake calcium? The daily recommended calcium intake is around 1000 to 1200 milligrams for adults over 50. and children over 40 years of old. Then you have vitamin D. The daily recommended vitamin D intake is around 600 800 international units. Adults, it increases to 800,000 international units. So smoking, as I recommended earlier, it has its own ill effects. So smoking interferes with body's ability to absorb calcium. Smoking reduces the bone mass density. It increases the risk of fractures. So benefits of quitting smoking is that it improves the bone health, reduces the risk of fractures and other health problems. It improves the quality of life. Once again, as I explained you, alcohol and bone health, it has its own effects. If you stop consuming alcohol, you have much better results. So we have got variety of medications. I think is not much required for you people. If you consider on taking good calcium rich food and other so many other medications also, that will also help you a lot. So especially bone health in women, there are so many, especially after the menopause. There are some hormone replacement therapies, they are not that very popular nowadays. So what about bone health in men? As the age advances, especially after the age of 50, once again there is weakening of the bone, hormone imbalances, lifestyle factors like smoking, exercise, all those things also cause loss of bone strength in men. So this is what I have briefly explained regarding the bone and its importances. And for more details, I've got my own YouTube channel. If you just type Dr. Muraliortho, you will locate it. This is how it looks. I will send you the link also. Definitely, I request all of you to can. I have a message in the chat box. That link you can open and open the YouTube videos. I've got YouTube videos, more than 350 YouTube videos in all the three languages. Basically, it is in Kannada as well as in English and Hindi. This is the link I have sent in the chat box. Please, I request all of you to copy it and please do subscribe to my channel. You will get a lot of health related issues, not only regarding bones, even general health issues. Also made a lot of videos. Definitely, all of you can go through it. It's very useful and very informative. I have made in very colloquial, I mean, very understandable, normal language. Instead of using terminologies in medical terminologies, no. Instead of using complicated terminology, use a simple terminology so that all of you can understand that, right? So meanwhile, I will share in WhatsApp one more link. So all of you can take one 5 minutes break and you can rejoin with the link which once again I'm sending in the chat box. Definitely, all of you can share that save that also. So after a gap of 5 minutes, you can come back to this. Once I have sent the one more link, I'll send for the this one. You can please join back for any other questions, question and answer sessions, right? So coming to the conclusions.
Have any question? Can you hear me?
Yeah. So for question and sessions, I will create one more link.